What's up, YouTube? We're three simple men making their way back through the galaxy. I'm Tom. With me is Ryan and Mike. This week, it's Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 6, titled Droid Factory. Where
Weapons factory.
technically droids could be weapons.
I
So,
mean, we only see them building droids, so you're not wrong.
I mean, hasn't Terminator taught us anything? I mean, let's be real. But weapons factory, and let's talk about two different ideologies on how to be a master.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what this episode's about. Right off the bat, we get our quote. It's no gift is more precious than trust. But yeah, we're on Geonosis, but we get obviously our favorite master and apprentice of the moment, Anakin and Ahsoka. But then we also get introduced to a new character, Mike.
Very Sophie, yeah, I think we did see Luminara back in season 1. That was when they were escorting Newt Gunray, but this is the first time we see her and her apprentice, and I believe this is the first time, and actually first
No, we've
time
seen him in Attack of the Clones because we seen
there,
him in the opening scene with Chancellor Palpatine with the Jedi.
and
Then
then
we see them at the
Barris,
Battle of Geonosis.
exactly.
Barris is there too.
Yeah.
Yep, this
Okay.
is Barris's first time on the Clone Wars, so yep, good call, Tom.
And it's at least the first time that she's being introduced to, it seems, Ahsoka and Anakin. So it's their first time meeting her. But yeah, we definitely, they kind of hint at in the beginning with the briefing and stuff that, it appears that Anakin doesn't trust Ahsoka because he seems to be holding her back. I don't view it that way. I don't think it's that he doesn't trust her. I think it's that he is starting to really care about her, and he's worried about her and doesn't want her to, put herself out there. Which I think the rest of this episode then leads to that, or lends to that theory quite well. But yeah, there's a plan. It's sneak into the catacombs or whatever underneath the
Well, you had two different sets of plans because you had Anakin who was like, we're going to go on the offensive, and Luminara cautioned that it's going to be high casualties, which is why she suggested that they send the Padawans to infiltrate through the catacombs, and they'll be the distraction to get the droids out, and then that way they wouldn't notice Ahsoka and Barris going down under and getting through the catacombs and going up the extensive network of, because it was like 200 mazes or something that they had to navigate to get through
the anthill.
Listen, let's just call it what it is. They pulled a playbook off of Return of the King. They're going to pull off an Aragorn where we're just going to send all our remaining forces to the Black Gates at Mordor while we let Frodo drop the ring into Mount Doom. That's what it was.
Not bad. Not wrong. Yeah, I mean, one kind of crazy that Barris has memorized the network. That's pretty
200.
impressive. Yeah, definitely impressive. Kind of seemed like there was prime opportunity for some competitiveness between the two apprentices, but that didn't really seem to show up. There didn't really seem to be any type of, Ahsoka was like, oh, I'll go in first, and she's like, well, I have it memorized, and like there was no, like, Ahsoka wasn't like, like it just seemed like, oh yeah, no, you're right. Like they seem to work very well together.
Fine. We'll have it your way. Jeez.
full Barris. But
I thought they worked well together, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to see how two different Padawans
yeah,
are
because you
just
had
like to,
Ahsoka, going in improvise. They got a plan, but they improvise when things go under. Whereas Barris, like, she had a very structured, like, this is how we're gonna do it. But you could see that they had to switch it up when it's like, oh crap, things didn't go to plan. That's what we'll cover a little bit, but yeah.
Well, we can cover it now. I mean,
Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, what we see is that Ahsoka plants the bombs, but along the way, they unexpectedly, the Geonosian puts their hand on Barris's head, and that unfortunately wakes him up, and they follow behind, and they alert Toggle and the tactical droid, oh hey, we've got intruders, and now instead of it being an easy mission, now they know, and not only are they producing a lot of droids, but they also have a super tank that's impervious to anything the Republic throws at them. You can, whether it's the ATTE cannons or the artillery cannons, nothing. So
Dude, they
yeah,
built like Tiger tanks because I was watching the movie Fury the other day,
yeah,
and when the 3 Sherman tanks were going up against 1 Tiger, and they're just shooting their cannons right at the front because they heavily armored it. They're like, "Yo, it's a beast." That's what they made. They made Tiger tanks. They're just impenetrable. They're just downright dirty, and they are just
it was just like
weapons.
raining missiles. Like you had like 20 of them go out, and they just
They're
destroyed
firing
all.
laser shots and then shooting mortar cannons. It's like they're like, we only have 20 right now.
they
We'll
don't
just
hold up to a lightsaber though, for some reason.
yeah.
Not
Interesting.
Madagascar, I guess. I
Fire too.
did want to
But
bring up.
unfortunately, we see the Geonosians take away all those detonators, and Ahsoka's knocked out for a little bit, and then Barris is like, "Yep, it's up to me." And yeah, we're just going to use their weapon against them and take the tank. And fortunately, they had to change plans, and they're like, "Well, you know what? We have to destroy this factory, and we're going to sacrifice ourselves for the lives of others." So yeah, you really see a true Jedi moment where they're putting other people's lives ahead of themselves.
So why, going back, why is there a Genosian or a bunch of Genosians sleeping during a major scale attack on their planet? Did anyone else find that weird? They're just like sleeping. Like you don't think it'd be like all hands on deck kind of a situation when there's at least, Jedi's knocking at your door, armies invading, and they're just like sleeping. I
Yeah,
thought
we're
that was weird.
It should be
Jedi
an
for
all hands on deck type of thing. It's just be
Yeah.
like, hey, wake
you
up. Do
got a
you not
droid
see?
factory.
There's a clone trooper 10 feet away from you.
Yeah, droid factory. I mean, they tried to ambush him from behind, but that didn't go well. But yeah, I guess with all the droids that they're producing, and I mean, imagine if they had more than 20 super tanks. Yeah, I guess the Geonosians could take a sleep.
I mean, I guess it worked out for them in the well, not really, but at least slightly because it allowed them to catch the infiltrators ever so briefly.
But also
Um,
going back to those sleeping Geonosians, we know how this ends. Was it really? I mean, they kind of got lucky.
yeah, definitely.
And then you see on the other side with Anakin and Nara, it's like, well, oh crap, now we got these tanks, but of course that's where you have Anakin come in with this. Well, I've got a plan. I prepare for anything and everything. So you had them going under the bridge and playing the thermal deaths themselves. So again, I think the two strategies do complement themselves. We'll see it between the Padawans and the Masters. So
You can't blow out the tank, blow up the ground underneath the tank.
Just
Uh,
blow the bridge.
that's the strategy, and that's it definitely worked. It
I
takes
mean,
out the tank.
that's a strategy a lot of people have done,
Mhm.
I mean, just blow the bridge. And then I think going, like, as we move forward, I mean, we can keep talking about the episode. I think the biggest thing I noticed in my take was it's when they both have that thought that the Padawans are slowly fading away. And this is where we're going to get into possibly the first step into that Anakin will always have the fear of loss still with him. And it's always going to be impactful of his behavior, his decisions. Everyone's like, oh, he's unorthodox for a Jedi. I'm like, well, he kind of was old to be a Padawan. He still thinks about his mother. He lost his mother.
And
So,
Qui-Gon.
and Qui-Gon. So the fear of loss has left some traumatic scar on him.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's and that's exactly it. I mean, that's why, you know, Luminar even says like, hey, I never said you weren't trusting your Padawan. I didn't say you or I didn't say that we were gonna that I gave up on mine. I just fear that you are not ready to let go of your Padawan if the day ever comes, and that's something that we'll see and maybe have a discussion about in the future. Does Anakin ever let go of Padme or Ahsoka? You know, is he capable of that? And you know, we'll have to see. But it's really cool now to have a another solid Padawan and Master situation going on, because we
Yeah.
really haven't seen like them side by side that much. I mean, I feel like we've gotten introduced to maybe one Padawan earlier on in the Clone Wars series, and he died real quick.
I think it was the Lair of Grievous. It was a former Padawan who became a knight. It
Yeah.
was with Kit Fisto.
Yeah,
Mhm.
wasn't it a one of these guys?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
on calamari.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it definitely, it's nice to see another function of that and to be able to like compare and contrast. And I mean, without giving away spoilers, I guess, we know how, especially now with the recent season of Tales of the Jedi season 2 called Tales of the Empire, we see how these characters, and with the Ahsoka series, we see a future of both these characters a little bit more. So we kind of know how they turn out through their master. And so it's interesting. I guess at the end we could judge who's a better master. Uh I don't know. It's definitely
Yeah.
interesting take.
That's
As
that's very true. But I want to go back a little bit. What I thought was funny was, since Mike was talking about how before in that scene in the control room before to destroy it, Ahsoka decides to take one of the thermal detonators, throw it at the tank. At the tactical droid was standing next to him, and he's like, "You fool! It's going to be impenetrable." Not calculating the realization that the impact is going to affect him.
yeah, he gets blown up. Yeah, that was great. That was a good little comedic moment, definitely.
But yeah, I
It's
mean,
just funny. It's like, oh yeah, did you calculate that? Oh, Ahsoka should have said that as like a one line punch. But like, did you calculate that? I
I
never.
also like the idea that I noticed that Ahsoka really used or I guess Ahsoka and technically Barris, uh they took a play right out of Anakin's playbook. They stole a ship or vehicle and then blew up the enemy's base from the inside with it, which Anakin does in Phantom technically when he, you know, can't get it on the outside, let's blow it up from the inside. And
Adapt, improvise, survive.
that was kind of what they did. They're like, oh, we'll take it out from the inside and see what happens. Of course, they don't get out as smoothly as Anakin did,
And you know
but
what? Since we're talking about the two different ideologies between Luminara and Skywalker, I think Skywalker's is more like a approached in a life or death situation because we see him stuck in a tank, and Barris is, ready to just, accept that, fate is calling their number. Ahsoka's just like, well, I'm around a guy who knows all technical information. He's like, she takes a power cell and she's doing Morse code on her comlink.
no.
So I'm thinking more between those two, Luminar is more uh uh
I'd say more rigid and like, keeping to the code and like, letting her go or ready to let her go, honor her memory. But yeah, you see Anakin really caring too much. And I guess to your guys' point, with avoiding that fear of loss, where he's not going to give up on Ahsoka. And I mean, I mean, I know could probably jump around to the Ahsoka series, but it's like Anakin's going to teach her the skills to survive. So he's going to do anything and everything to prepare her. I think we do see
This
that
is
in
more
Tales of the Jedi.
real life situation because I think in theory he's accepted the fact that so she's a Padawan, but she's been a Padawan since this war started from get-go. So everything she does, this is life or death situation. How do you overcome it?
And it's not necessarily fighting droids your entire life. You're going to be fighting humans too. So
I think we've definitely seen it as like the Jedi way, though, in a sense. Um, Throughout the series, like where some characters just seem to, Jedi specifically, seem to just let go very quickly, right? I mean, we saw it with, I remember I was pretty upset at Obi-Wan for giving up on R2D2 very quickly. And like there's been other instances, I think, where the Jedi are just kind of like, we got right. They were giving up on Master Plo. They were giving up, like, it's just kind of like, nope, we got to move on. Like that's it. And it's clearly, not something that certain members of the Jedi seem to believe in, because they don't just give up so easily. And maybe Luminar is right. Like, yeah, you need to be prepared to let go of your Padawan and sever attachments and stuff, but at the same time, it's like it almost seemed like she was already mourning her before she was even dead. And it's like, don't be so eager to let go. Try to fight for it a little bit.
It's starting to
But
contradict the Jedi thing where it's just like to bring not just bring peace, but to value life and to protect it.
yeah, like even
You
like what
can't
you
show
said,
attachments and love and all that stuff, but it's like you can at least try. And then if you do come to that conclusion where it's just like my Padawan has fell in this battle,
like
now
you should
you can mourn and move on. But
sensing
you
she
can
was
still make the attempt. And that's why some Jedi are just walking away because it seems hypocritical. Dooku did it,
exactly, I was just thinking that.
Qui-Gon never wanted to be part of the council because he felt like they were too obnoxious, too unreal. They're so they got political,
Mhm.
and now and then it's bad PR press for them. It really is right now.
Yeah.
They're really not on good terms with the public view.
Yeah,
Especially with the way they treat their own. Yeah.
that's it. And I mean, we'll see how the way they treat their own affects these two
And
Padawan in the future, and we'll see what
and
happens.
can I just say this? We're gonna go forward because we're gonna since we're talking about this with these two Padawan characters, we're gonna see a big thing happen later down the road, which is gonna be happening what we were just talking about, especially with these two characters.
It's gonna be really fun to watch
Mhm.
and to talk about.
Yeah. And this is just the beginning with uh, Ahsoka and Barris.
Oh yeah,
All right.
I
Anything
got
else?
nothing else.
Take it away, Mike.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to Three Simple Men making their way through the galaxy. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and come back next week for some more Clone Wars content. May the Force be with you always.
R2 stay with the ship.